Welcome, everybody, to the Tony here with you. And of course, I am joined by Olaf Thorsen, one of the guitar players in one of my favorite power metal bands,
Wow.
Labyrinth. And of course, Vision Divine, another band I have followed for probably now, it seems like the first album came out, but I've been following that band obviously for a very long time. Put out a great record last year. And we also have a new Labyrinth album that has come out. In the vanishing echoes of goodbye, but a very good power metal album you guys have put out, and it's great to have you here today.
First of all, hello everybody, and thanks for your nice words.
Absolutely. Talk about this album. I think it's very good, and I started following a band when the first album came out with Fabio Leone singing. That seems like ages ago now, but
A couple of months ago.
you've come a long way. Return to Heaven Denied, obviously, for me in the late '90s, was a big power metal album, and I pretty much followed the band. I've followed you for a long time, through all the Vision Divine albums
Thank you.
as well as this. But this album's, and I would probably say it's one of the best albums Labyrinth's ever done. And talk about this record a little bit, because I mean, I'll be honest, there's a lot of speed metal. It's pretty heavy compared to some of the other records that have come out, in recent years. And let's talk about this record.
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, well, first of all, here at Labyrinth headquarters, we are all pretty much surprised. Um, it comes from what's behind this album.
Hmm.
As you were mentioning, we are not a newcomer band. I mean, we've been playing this music for a pretty quite some time. And we are used to write albums in the good old style. I mean, we meet in a rehearsal room and we actually play and write the songs. We compose in rehearsal room all
Yeah.
together. So that's how we like, because computers, of course, it's all better, quicker, easier. But what computer can't can't help with, it's feeling if the song sounds good right away while you're working. I mean, digital technology, you can make things work always, even if the song is not that good. You can
Right.
work on it and you can make it sound good. And then you realize maybe it's not the best one when you record it.
Right.
When you play it in rehearsal room, it's there. Sometimes you think you had a good riff, but then you play all together and it doesn't work. This time we had this feeling, but we were talking about nowadays. We have a long history with the genre so-called power metal.
Hmm.
Uh, we somehow struggle with the definition of power metal band when it comes to the band, because it's not metal, but we feel a bit more complicated than that in a positive way. I mean, we do not play only power metal,
Right.
and then the new style. Well, I mean, at least what we hear from magazines, from fans, is coming back. Power metal is coming back, but what we hear, what we listen to, it's a completely different kind of music. And pass me the joke, concede me. Sometimes we say it's pretty much close.
Yeah.
There's barely any guitar riff in there. It's lots of keyboards, major chords, happy music, and well, we don't feel like that. We and at the same time we always joke, say we're getting old, and getting old usually means to let's go lower, guys. We're getting old,
Right.
and this time we say F F word,
Yeah.
F it. Uh, you know what? Let's go faster. We're old enough not to care anymore about what's the trend, what's the fashion, what magazine want, what the label want. Let's just go fast. Let's play what we like. Let's play. It's not a secret. When we were younger, we all come from background.
Yeah.
And of course, I mean, we don't want to turn crazy and suddenly play like Testament, but why not? Why not?
Right.
Why can we bring some of the good old school riffs and see what happens? So we did it,
Yeah.
and while recording this album, while listening to the final results, we have this, you know, with chills going down the spine, saying, "Okay, it, but maybe it's a bit too much. Maybe it's a bit too much. What are people going to think about it?" And we are really positively surprised because we see everybody's loving it. So we say, okay, that's cool. For one, it's 100% what we wanted, and
Mhm.
people are showing to understand, to dig it. So it's a win-win.
Yeah, I would say, you're talking about power metal. I would say power metal is really not coming back. As far as a lot of newer bands really doing a great
There we
job on it.
go. There we
But
go.
but you guys or bands that have been around a long time doing it, that's a different story. And I've never really, it's funny you mention some of the things you just said about right, because
Yeah.
when you talk about pop music, for example, and you talk about thrash metal, the interesting thing about Labyrinth, or even some of the stuff you've done in Vision Divine, is that you might have a lot of these heavier elements in some of these. You do have songs that are a lot different, and that goes back over 20 years, right? It goes back 25 years in a sense, because for example, let's go back to some of the earlier stuff that you did, like when you go to the P, right?
All right. Yeah.
Or you go to, Return to Heaven Denied, like the original one. There's a lot of different elements on those records. When you, like, for example, you guys did stuff on those albums. But a lot of these songs, they were not all the same. You had some power metal songs, but then you had songs that were a little bit slower, a lot more melodic. That especially when Roberto joined, I think when he got on, when he first came into the band, I think a bit more of that element. I wouldn't like to call it pop music, but it was just, you
Yeah.
didn't have a lot of the heavier stuff on some of those records. And a lot of people associate them with power metal. But reality is, when you go and listen to a lot of the they've done, and even the stuff you've written on, in your other band, I've always said that the reason I like these records is because they're a lot more diverse than what a lot of power metal bands typically would do. So, you guys have really, if I've always felt like you've written music you've liked, and this album just happens to be heavier than a lot of the other ones. It's how it turned out.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Whenever I say this power metal, I always try to explain we don't mean to be offensive when we say we don't recognize ourselves as 100% power
Yeah.
metal band. And it's no offense. I love power metal. I love many power metal bands.
Mm-hmm.
It, when I try to explain this, I say, imagine my band, imagine Labyrinth in this case,
Yeah.
put on 100% power metal festival bands.
Yeah.
We would be a bit out of the, know what I mean? Because
Mm-hmm.
you probably have all the other bands playing what you call power metal, and then there will be us. And depending on which songs we choose for the set list, we may even sound completely out of context. Well, it's not. Sometimes I even say maybe it's our flow. It's not always a good point to be so different, to have so many different music influence pop, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily offensive. Roberto has always had a very pop flavor in his voice, in his melodies,
Mm-hmm.
and there's nothing bad about it. Really turn into a pop a pop metal band,
Yeah.
which what we always try to avoid. And with this last album, we try to make it even stronger. I mean, the differences between his voice, his style, and the guitars, as I always repeat, are the main structure behind the Labyrinth songs.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, you guys are just have a different sound than a lot of these other bands do. That over the years, your songwriting in a lot of in pretty much Vision Divine in this band, it's always been a mix of a lot of that stuff. And even like the last Vision Divine album that came out last year, again, I thought it was a heavier album in a lot of ways than say some of the other stuff you've done before. So it's like the songwriting sort of like naturally progressed into that. Just kind of how I evaluated it when I heard it. And I remember the first album the first Labyrinth album, and the bands have obviously progressed a lot since then.
Thank you.
And I think that when it comes to your songwriting, I just think that you've always kind of had that little bit of diversity in it. Like I said, it is a pretty heavy record. I think it progresses, a little bit, like Welcome to the Absurd Circus sounded like a little bit of a heavier album, but this album kind of goes further with that. And that's how
Definitely. It's a reaction. As I told you, it's mostly, there are many reasons behind it, of course. And of course, the main reason is we like what we write. But the background is like, this is to the situations around us. What people call to be power metal nowadays has no guitars, basically. Guys, I don't want to sound like a true defender, but I listen to the new releases and I say, where are the guitars? It's only dance and pop keyboards played around, and sometimes when we play festivals, these keyboards are not even on stage. So it's this is everything but what supposed to be when we started playing music. I play heavy metal because I'm a guitarist. I love guitars.
Right.
And this is our statement to say, okay, as we sang in Architecture of a God, we belong to yesterday. We come from a different era, was made of guitars, heavy guitars.
Yeah.
And if this isn't clear enough with this album, let's push even further on this.
Hey everybody, Tony here from the Metal Command podcast. Again, I appreciate your support. Since 1998, I have hosted this show in one form or another, starting off in radio and now in the podcast format. Again, thanks for watching, and if you like what you see and hear on this show, by all means, please hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell to be notified anytime I do post a video, and if you see this program on any other form of social media, please give me a follow there. Again, I always appreciate your support.